center like we usually do. We wanted to provide a virtual space for networking, especially since there's such a great group of young professionals who always come up to this conference. So thank you for coming, and I hope you enjoy. Before we get started, here's the format for the event. We're going to start with a discussion with Josh Newton of Josh's Water Jobs, and he's also an experienced consultant in the WaSH sector. And so I'll ask him a few questions to get him to reflect on hiring trends in the WaSH sector and in environmental security. After about 15 minutes, we will move on to the speed networking sessions, which you probably read about, and I will explain that in detail after the first part of the event. So if you could go to the next slide, Elizabeth. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce Josh. Josh Newton is the founder of Josh's Water Jobs, connecting young professionals with job opportunities and promoting career development. He is also an independent consultant and expert in global water political processes, governance, and stakeholder engagement, and utilizes his knowledge of the international water and sanitation communities to help institutions develop their institutional strategies and drive political processes related to water. So we're really excited to have Josh with us. Welcome, Josh. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
All right. Well, I just wanted to say thank you, Nikki. It's great to be here. Love talking with young professionals. And also, please stay tuned for the breakout sessions because you have 6 wonderful experts from the different sector experience within WaSH. So, and they will be able, I have a bird's eye view of things, but they will be able to give you even more concrete advice. So I encourage you to stick around for that.
Great. Thank you, Josh. So let's just dive in right away. So if you could just kind of give an overview, are there any things that have stood out to you as you reflect on trends that you've noticed in hiring within the WaSH sector and environmental security?
Yeah, well, COVID, during the pandemic, there's definitely been a shift where there's more jobs open in the WaSH space. Obviously, in order to mitigate the spread of COVID-19, WaSH is absolutely necessary. So there has been, in looking at, say this, from the website perspective and seeing what's out there internationally, there was definitely a surge back mid-time part of the year where there's a lot more opportunities. It went down a little bit, but now I can already see in the past few weeks it's going up again as numbers go up. And these are not jobs just in developing countries, but they're in developed countries as well. You see that I'm seeing this in the US and France and others that are actually hiring more WaSH experts to deal with these issues on the local level. Yeah, so that's what I guess I'm seeing right now as well. You also actually on the research and academic side, there's so much unknowns about COVID-19. And so there's a lot of research going on right now, or more research than in the past on these issues. So I'm seeing a lot of more academic opportunities open up in these spaces as well.
That's a great point. Do you have any tips in particular for young professionals who might be looking for a job in this kind of weird era of remote work and COVID-19? Are there any particular sectors that seem to be hiring more? What tips do you have for people struggling to find a job in this time?
Yeah, so just looking, it's almost a continuation on the trends. It's, obviously WaSH jobs have been around for a very, very long time, but now you're seeing, it's not just engineering and public health professionals that are being hired. It's people who deal with education and advocacy and behavior change is something I'm really noticing recently. Education and managing information around WaSH. So a lot of those areas are having more specific jobs in the WaSH space that are opening up. 2 other areas, one is linked to WaSH and public health is wastewater. And I think the SDGs as well brought some more attention to that and how much we're lagging behind on wastewater collection and treatment. And so there's a lot of jobs opening in that space as well. And linked to that, water quality. Water obviously as well, water quality has always been an issue, but now again, even in developed countries, we're seeing more issues with that. And so there have been more jobs opening along those lines. But yeah, search during a pandemic, we can't be together at conferences. And that it's more difficult, as you said, Nikki, you can't meet in the corridors. I mean, that's how I look for jobs myself. So it's getting in these online events, especially ones that have breakout groups that are smaller. I mean, honestly, if there's only 2 people in one of the smaller breakout groups, that's fine because it means you get more time with. So yeah, and then I think, I always encourage people to go to the website to look for jobs, but that is, I still say it's probably not how people get their jobs most of the time. And it's through this community and interacting with people. So I encourage, and don't be afraid to reach out to professionals, to set up Zoom calls, to have a chat online, a coffee, while you're talking to the person. You just got to do this virtually instead of what you would do in person, instead of knocking on someone's office door. So it's still about that person-to-person connection. It's obviously a little different now, but those interactions are very valuable in, say, getting to know people building trust in your knowledge and capacities. And so, yeah, don't hesitate to reach out to people. We love to talk to young professionals, or at least most of us do, so.
Thanks. Yeah, I definitely appreciate the plug for the website, because I know that I've at least found out about pretty much every water related job I've done through that website. So thank you for that, Josh. So I'm wondering if you, kind of still on the topic of trends and trying to kind of get an edge, what kind of skills have you seen that people are looking for, whether that's kind of hard skills or experiences that might give kind of a leg up in hiring processes?
Yeah, I mean, it's really tough just because in the WaSH sector is a very diverse one in terms of the types of jobs out there, because you have, the hard infrastructure, WaSH infrastructure engineering type jobs, but then you have more advocacy roles and soft skills that are required, and working in schools to change behavior on hand washing. So there's so much diversity. So I think that one thing that's very much appreciated in no matter what is field experience, to actually have been on the ground, to see what's needed. And then one thing for any job, it's in international field rather, are languages. And especially with this field work that's often required with WaSH jobs, it's like what can put you ahead of another candidate is speaking the language that's wherever this position is located. And so, I mean, I got my first job because I spoke Spanish, and it wasn't because of maybe anything else. So it does give you a leg up to speak multiple languages. And then I think also in reframing it a little bit, is that, and this is what the diversity comes in, is that not all WaSH jobs are equal. And so in thinking about what a young professional wants to do on a day-to-day basis in their job, do they want to be in the field, drilling wells? Do they want to be in a classroom teaching hand washing? Do they want to be helping writing policy at the municipal level or national level? So I think it's really envisioning what you want to do on a day-to-day basis, and then seeing, okay, what are the, say, linked skills with that? Do you need to write well? Do you need good technical skills? Do you need languages? Do you need good communication skills? I would say for almost any job inside or out of the WaSH sector is good mediation and negotiation skills. And that's like that, for instance, is always asked for, but tangibly, what does that actually mean? So I think that it really is like, projecting yourself out. What do you see yourself doing on a day-to-day basis? And what are those linked skills that will stand out that you need to have to carry out that job?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I know that's very good advice. I've definitely spent a lot of time looking on LinkedIn to find people whose jobs I aspire to one day. And then my kind of go-to thing is to see, okay, what was their job a few jobs ago? And that's where I start. So yeah, definitely kind of connecting what you want to do on a day-to-day basis to the skills that you need to accomplish that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and well, just a little, and the website has jobs on there, but what I think is it's a valuable tool as a resource is to go check out job descriptions of jobs that you aspire to or want and see what they require. So if you have the direct link, all of the last 25,000 jobs are on the website. So that's what I like. And I know some young professionals have commented on how they enjoy that because they can actually go and look to see what's required for a job they want in the future, just like you were doing with LinkedIn. So
yeah, that definitely makes sense. I'm wondering, so you mentioned field experience, and I know that that's something that has been emphasized in a lot of job descriptions I've seen. I feel like sometimes there's a bit of a chicken and egg problem with field experience. People want field experience, but then they need it to actually get the job that has field experience. It's kind of like a chicken and egg thing. I'm wondering if you have any tips for people who are looking to kind of get into the field. Are there any kind of, there's the classic routes of like a Fulbright or, something Peace Corps maybe. Are there any other routes that you would recommend that might not be as well known?
yeah, it's a tough one. It's the same with like, how do you get your first job? Like, they want experience, but if unless you have experience, you can't get your first job. So I'd say one other option that, I mean, I've been encouraged, we've all been encouraged to do this is, internships help. You can get internships in the field. Volunteering helps. I know that sometimes if I'm still looking for a certain skill set, that I'll offer to volunteer to get that, or to get exposure to that. So it's a little bit more difficult when you have to travel abroad, say, to get the field experience. But there's ways, I think, of getting field experience in your own backyard too. Just have to think creatively about looking for the organizations that do that. Like where I am right now, if I were looking to get more WaSH experience, I'd probably just go to the local municipal, water and sanitation provider and see what opportunities I could, could get as a possibility. So it's, obviously a job in the field would be best, but you kind of have to meet it a little bit halfway to get that experience to, the chicken or the egg.
Yeah, that's definitely an issue, I think, in a lot of hiring conundrums. Yeah. Unfortunately, we only have a couple more minutes, but I just wanted to give you a chance to kind of offer any final reflections or thoughts that you would really like to, whether you want to encourage young professionals or something that you think that they should hear in this time.
I just think like it's probably difficult to get a job right now. It could be super easy. It could be difficult. I think there's a lot of factors at play, but the only thing I would say is like, stick with this. Like this is such important work, and we need you all, and we need more people actually to come into the sector, because these are jobs, the number of them will be growing over time. We don't have enough people interested in water and sanitation sector. In many countries of the world, they're really needing more people to go into the sector. So stick with it. We all appreciate you being interested and engaged. And and also I'm happy to chat with anybody. I think you all probably know how to reach me, but to give any other insight you might want. But yeah, so thank you all for being part of this community, because it's really appreciated.
Thank you so much, Josh. And just for everyone, there is a message tab on the conference website. So that is one option for contacting people individually. You can also go to joshswaterjobs.com, obviously. So thank you, Josh. Really appreciate it. Yeah, Elizabeth, could you share the slides about the different panelists, or actually, sorry, the instruction slide. Thank you. So this is going to be a bit complicated, but I believe in you. I believe in us. We can do this. So we're doing what we are calling speed networking. And basically, we have invited 6 great WaSH, environmental security, and public health professionals. And I'm so excited that they were all willing to join us. They all come from very different sectors and have different experiences that they can speak to. So the way this is going to work is there's going to be 3 12-minute rotations for this informal networking and Q&A, with 1 minute of transition time between each rotation. As participants, you get to choose which 3 rooms you go into. So start thinking about that now. The bios are on the main event page. So not yet, but in a few minutes, you're going to want to exit the Zoom room, close out, and you go to the bottom of the event page and click which breakout room you want to go into first. Once you've gone into the breakout room, there will be a panelist who will introduce themselves, and there's also a moderator in there to time keep. Please remain in the room. It says for the full 15 minutes, it's for the full 12 minutes. You don't have to worry too much about the timing because the moderator will let you know and give you a couple minutes of warning. When it is time to leave the room, please do so because we really need to move along quickly so we can all meet as many people as possible. And once the 12 minutes are up, you're going to exit the breakout room you're in and then enter the second room of your choice. And again, there is a minute in between, so hopefully that will help you kind of figure out which room to go to. Repeat this step again before the third rotation. And above all, ask lots of questions, be respectful, don't be shy, and make connections because this is a really exciting opportunity. If you could go to the next slide, I'm just going to mention which rooms or which. So in room 1, we have Brooke Yamakoshi from UNICEF. Room 2 is Dr. Christine Marie George from Johns Hopkins University School of Public Health. Room 3 is Lauren Herzarisi from the Wilson Center, a think tank in DC. Room 4 is Dr. Jennifer Murphy, who works at the CDC. Room 5 is John Brogan from Helvetis in Zurich, Switzerland. And room 6 is Emmeline Bereziat, who is based in Ouagadougou, Burkina Faso with ACFO. So they all are kind of themed differently. I'm going to release you in about a minute. Can you go to the next slide, please? Thank you. And this main room, we're not going to come back to this main room, but it will remain open if you get confused, you get lost on the way, or if you can't remember which breakout room that you wanted to go to. So with that said, we're going to release about a minute earlier than I planned, but that's okay. So go ahead, close out of this. If you have questions, you can stay in here and let us know. You're going to close out, scroll to the bottom of the event page, and then click on your first breakout room. Hope you enjoy. Ask lots of questions.
Nikki, are you going to stay in this room?
I'm going to pop into the breakout rooms to make sure everything's going smoothly.
I'm staying in here, and I just made it so people could unmute themselves if they have questions.